Hello and welcome to another episode of my podcast, which is called A Cuppa with Anna. I'm joined by my friend Elaine today. Hi, Elaine.
Hi.
Elaine and I are going to be chatting about some of the creative things that she gets up to, some of her favourite things, and also how she manages her anxiety, which she gets sometimes. So thanks for coming to have a little chat, Elaine.
Thank you for having me. This is my first podcast experience,
Is
so
it?
be gentle.
It always, as soon as like the record buttons hit, it's like I always feel like just something changes in you, doesn't it?
the fear that goes through you.
I know. How's your morning been? What have you been up to?
My morning's been really nice, actually. I've been down in the veggie garden this morning.
In the veggie garden?
In the veggie garden. So I'm at my mum's at the moment. I came back before lockdown and everything happened. And so they have a vegetable garden. It was my dad's, but my dad passed away about 2 years ago. And me and my family have kind of taken the lead on it, really. So we've been picking strawberries this morning.
Oh,
And we've
how
been
idyllic.
I know, right? We've been picking strawberries, and we've put some runner beans and some green beans in and things like that. So yeah, it's been really nice down there, actually, like gorgeous weather.
Yeah. Did you have to put suntan cream on? It's pretty hot today.
Yeah,
Maybe getting
so
a tan.
I made the mistake last weekend, or it might have been the weekend before, where I was down there. And when I got back, I was like, oh, I feel a bit warm. And then I looked at my back. I had the worst tan lines like possible. But it was quite, yeah. I mean, yes, definitely put sun cream on. Don't follow my advice.
So I actually got really sunburnt the other day, just like on one patch on my leg. And now it's gone brown and I've just got this very brown patch on my leg, yeah.
Well, I had this really weird tan line, so I had like a racer back on, and then I
Yeah.
obviously had bra straps as well. So I now have like this weird racer back thing going on with the bra straps, and it's just,
Oh, you're a classy bird, Elaine.
it just looks beautiful, really, really beautiful.
Now,
Which is why I'm wearing a top like this now, because I'm like, let's just cover it, shall we? Let's cover the mistake I made.
now I know that creativity is really important to you. And there are lots of different things that you get up. In fact, the more I talk to you, the more creative things I find out that you're doing or you've dabbled in. So I know that one of those is music, that you've got a particular passion for music. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know you and your brother, you'd go to a lot of gigs and things, but it sounds like music's a really big part of your life.
Yeah, so I think it's definitely from our dad, I think, that we get that. So growing up, me and my brother just had so much music. And my dad always listened to such a wide range of music. So I grew up listening to 1950s like rock and roll, Elvis Presley, all of that kind of sort of music. And I love that kind of music. It's just like, there's a huge part of me, I think, that wishes I was like in the 50s kind of eras where you've got the big dresses and the skirts and and the music and everything. But yeah, I think it's largely from growing up around it for so long. And I mean, I can remember like having family trips out, and we'd have the Beach Boys on, we'd have Queen playing, and just Beatles, and like so many different kind of really iconic bands and artists and stuff. And I think we were exposed to a lot of that when we were younger. And I think because of that, I think we both just love music now. For me, like if I ever, I suppose, want to kind of feel uplifted, then I'll often kind of put on maybe certain types of music. I think I love the way music can really sort of bring out your emotions. So I think if you're having a really rubbish day and maybe you need a good cry, you can put something like, I'll put some sad music on, not just like let it out or whatever. But then I think if you want to feel uplifted and it's got the power to really kind of boost your mood. And I mean, I've been to loads of different gigs over the years, and me and my brother tend to go to loads and loads of different gigs. And there's something really powerful, I think, about live music when you're in that moment with that artist and you're in the same space and you're sharing that space together and you're sharing it with all of these other people, and none of you know each other, but collectively you kind of forms this identity, I think, and this kind of like this feeling. I don't think I can describe it unless I'm sure, I mean, but like it's just the way it brings people together, I think. So I think music's definitely like a real passion of mine. I really wish I could play an instrument. Like, I feel like that's what I probably should try doing, but I don't think I'm necessarily brave enough to do that.
What's been your top gig that you've been to, would you say?
Top gig. Ooh. I said, okay, so it would have to be, we went and watched, do you remember Linkin Park and Jay-Z brought out the Collision Course album?
Vaguely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they came together, they collaborated basically, Linkin Park and Jay-Z collaborated. Mm-hmm. And then they did this really cool tour in the UK where I think they maybe only did one place in the UK, I think. It was at Milton Keynes basically, and it was in Milton Keynes like bowl area, and so it's all grassy and you're surrounded by like just all this green space, and they had loads of different other artists there. So they had like Pendulum there, and then they had obviously Linkin Park and Jay-Z were playing, and it was like a beautifully like sunny day. It was blue skies, sunshine. It was just absolutely gorgeous. And I remember Linkin Park played this like really, really cool song, and it was off of their new album, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was as the sun was setting, and it was just this like beautiful moment where, and the lyrics are, and the sun will set for you, and it was just timed beautifully, and it was just lovely. It was just I think that's probably a standout gig, I would guess.
Yeah, especially with the sunset moment.
Yeah, I know, right? Done. I mean, I always laugh. I always think if it had chucked it down with rain, if we'd had like proper British weather, I do wonder whether it would have had the same like beautiful moment. But as it was just like the best. Yeah, just the best time. That was a few years back now, actually. Like my first and only experience of Milton Keynes, but
worth it. All right, now I know that I think you made a bit of a pact with yourself that you were going to say yes to more things.
Yes.
Sometime last year, and I know that singing was one of them. So tell me a little bit about that, and also, have you been singing in the shower during lockdown?
Okay, so last year, you know how most people start kind of New Year's resolutions, and they're normally something around, I'm going to lose X amount of weight, or I'm going to do this or whatever, and no one sees them through. But so my kind of, I guess, goal or aim for 2019 was to try more new things, basically, and to say yes to stuff. And it's been really good fun, actually. And I've stumbled across things that perhaps I didn't think I necessarily would love, and have found that I loved. So I think you and I met last summer, and we were chatting, weren't we? And you were telling me about the singing group that you were setting up, Sing, Chat, Relax. And I was like, do you know what? I'm going to go along. This is going to be one of my things that I'm going to try. And I just absolutely loved it. Like, I just absolutely loved it. I think it's such a great group of women. Firstly, like the women that go to the group are so lovely, and they're so warm, and just such a great, inspiring group of women. But I don't think I really understood. I suppose I'd read about all of the benefits of singing, and I know there's been lots of studies to suggest that singing's really good, but I hadn't kind of necessarily experienced, I think, singing collectively as a group. When I'd sung previously, like I've done amateur dramatics, like when I was younger and in my teens, and I had to sing in like musical theatre and that kind of thing, but I'd never really sung in a group before. And actually singing in a group and collectively making this noise, I guess the only way I can describe it is very similar to that feeling of being at a gig when you're with everyone together and you're doing like this shared thing. And I just got a really good vibe and a really good buzz from it. And I kind of came out of that first sing, chat, relax, like I was just on a bit of a high. And I was like, what's this? Like, this is a great feeling. I need to do this more. And yeah, and I think especially if you're not, like, I'm not a super confident singer, I'm not someone who, you know, necessarily wants to stand up in front of people and sing, but I think by doing it in a group you feel like it's that kind of safety net, it's that nice kind of cushioning of that you've got, you know, a group around you and everyone's rooting for you and everyone wants to sing together, and it's just this nice kind of feeling. So yeah, I haven't been singing in the shower because I just don't tend to sing in the shower, actually. I think I'm half asleep in the shower. I'm never like awake enough. But I have been singing on my dog walk. So the other day I went on like a dog walk and I realised that since being back at my mum's, I haven't been listening to as much music. Normally I live on my own in Exeter and I live in a flat, and I always have music on. Like, I have music on more than I ever have the telly on or anything like that. So, and I realized when I was back here actually that I wasn't listening to so much music, and so I found this like playlist on Spotify. It was like workout playlist or something, like super like up tempo, and had some really good tunes on there, like some really empowering tunes like Beyonce, Elisa, oh, what's her name, but yeah, loads of really empowering music. And I was walking along like this lane, no one's around. I had one ear in, like one ear headphone on, one headphone out, and I was just singing along as I'm walking down this lane. And I mean, the dog looked at me quite odd because she doesn't really know singing. She doesn't really know singing. So our cocker spaniel Millie kind of pulled this sort of like weird face at me, like, what are you doing? Who are you singing to? But yeah, so I was walking along this lane, singing away, and yeah, having a wonderful time.
Oh, that's good to know that you're singing on your dog walks.
Yeah.
Maybe
I
Millie will
mean,
join in.
well, I mean, she can howl. She's really good at howling.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe some backing singers.
Well, I just can't wait until Sing Chat Relax are like reunited, you know, when we can all
Definitely.
like sit. It'll be amazing when we can all just sing together again.
Yeah.
Maybe at
Yeah.
Christmas or something. Who knows? Now, Elaine, I know that we both have something in common. We have quite a few things in common actually, but we particularly have something in common where we can get quite frustrated, can't we, if we're not perfect at things straight away, or we can't learn things immediately because we just expect to be amazing, like, and not have to
All
put
of
the
the
effort in.
time.
Yeah, exactly. So I know that when we find something that actually keeps our attention, it's quite rare, but also really good. Now, I know that during lockdown you have found something, haven't you, that's kept your attention?
Which is no easy thing, I should add. Like, just to add context for listeners, there are many, many things that I have started and not finished over the years.
I love hearing this. You make me
Many
feel so much better.
things.
Carry on.
Many, many things. I wanted to play tennis. I didn't get around to playing tennis. I wanted to play hockey. I didn't stick at hockey. I wanted to learn the keyboard. I learned Bryan Adams' Everything I Do It For You, and that was the only song I could play and nothing else. Like, so yeah, there are many things that I have started and not finished over the years. But one of the things I did discover was crochet, basically. So it was quite funny. So I said to mum, I was like, I want to learn how to crochet. Bearing in mind my mum has heard me say that, the start of the sentence, many, many, many times over the years, where I go, I want to learn this, I want to do this, and then, you know, a few weeks later, oh, it's not for me, I just don't like it, it doesn't really click or whatever. It normally is, I normally give up because I'm not very good at it and I get frustrated.
Tantrum.
Yeah, I'm like, I can't do it. Why am I not perfect and amazing at this, like from the very beginning? Which of course is completely unrealistic, because that's not how life works. No one gets amazing at something just instantly. But you know, tell that to me, like I'm just not good at doing that. So and my mum says, okay, I used to crochet. Why don't you? So in true me style, I want to buy all of the wool. I want to buy the crochet hooks. You know, we're talking about spending like £50 on something that I haven't even discovered whether I like or not. And so my mum's like, okay, calm down. Like, why don't you? I've got some hooks. Why don't you have some wool? Why don't you just see if you like it? Initially, I have a full-blown tantrum over the fact that I cannot figure out how to hold the yarn and how to hold the hook, and you know, it's not pretty. I'm 31 years old. It is not pretty for a 31-year-old to have a tantrum over it, but I did. But then I found some good YouTube videos, discovered that like mum trying to teach me, as like mum is incredibly patient, she's a teaching assistant, but I'm just a really bad learner. Like there's no other way to describe it. I'm a really bad student.
You have a specific learning style.
I do,
Call it
yes,
that.
which I do remember at one point saying to mum, being like, oh, but I'm a visual learner, like very dramatically. Poor mum. So I think mum rightly took a step away from me and was like, you know what, find your own way of doing it. um, and so I found some good YouTube videos. And to be fair, in all seriousness, it is about finding, I think, a way that teaches to like the way that you can learn, I think, a lot of the time. And so I found it and I started to get the knack of it. And then I made like something and discovered actually I wasn't too bad. So then I bought some different colour wool and everything. And my first project was a rainbow. I made a rainbow for the window, and that came out really well. I actually created my own stitch by mistake, because it's quite funny, really. So in crochet, the kind of one of the most basic crochet stitch you can do is called a double crochet. And in true me style, I watched half of the video, thought I then knew how to do it, and didn't watch the end.
I hear you.
So I didn't actually see how I was meant to end the stitch. So for the whole of that pattern of the rainbow, it turns out I just made up my whole own double crochet. It did still turn out by some like miraculous, I don't know how, but it did still manage to turn out okay.
Have you got
then,
any of your crochet things that we can see?
oh, I don't know. Hang on a moment. Let me have a look. I have got a rose. I made a rose. There's a rose.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
So yeah, so I made that, I think last weekend I made that one. So yeah, so I made a rainbow, then I made some hearts and crocheted them into like a heart flower, and then I've started making these roses now. And I think I'm going to make like a few, and I think I'm going to make them across like the headboard of my bed. So they can hang down and look kind of quite pretty.
Oh, what a lovely idea.
Yeah, but the thing jokes aside, the thing I've really enjoyed about the crocheting is, so I do struggle with anxiety. I've struggled with anxiety for years and years and years. And sometimes I manage it better than others. And a lot of the time my anxiety will be triggered by things that are going on. So I'm very fortunate I don't get anxiety in kind of like going into social situations or things like that, but I definitely have generalized anxiety, so I often worry about things that are kind of going on in my life, or if someone isn't very well, I'll worry about them and that kind of thing. And so the current situation at the moment has made my anxiety a lot more heightened than it would normally be. And I think I think even people who don't struggle with anxiety are probably feeling anxious right now. And I think if you do struggle with anxiety, then this particular time at the moment is really, really hard. And so it was actually a counsellor that recommended to me that I find some creative outlets to help with my anxiety. And the reason for that is because it's like the right side of your brain is quite analytical, and it thinks, and it does kind of all of the thinking and that kind of thing. And so that part of my brain is in overdrive a lot of the time, and I use that part of my brain all the time. But actually, the left side of your brain is a lot more creative. And so she recommended that I kind of find something creative, because in turn it helps to kind of calm you a bit. And so I found, like, with the crochet, when I'm feeling really, really anxious, I can lose myself in it. And there's something really crochet, once you get to grips with how you hold the yarn and the hook, which was the biggest challenge for me. So if you reach past that point, you can do anything really. But once you get past that, it is quite simple in the sense that what you're doing, and it's very sort of soothing in that sense, because you're basically just making lots of hooks within hooks and so forth, like lots of knots within knots basically. And yeah, it's just really soothing, I think, is probably the best way I can describe it. Like, it completely takes my mind off of what I'm worrying about or being anxious about, and completely focuses it on something. And because I do have a really short attention span and I'm not very patient, I make very quick win things. So I don't do big projects, I do small projects, because I know me, and if I have a big project, I will lose focus, I'll lose motivation for it. I kind of need instant gratification from it, really. So yeah, that's what I've been doing, really.
You explained that beautifully, Elaine.
Thanks.
Right, we've come
it's
to
like
the
I knew I was going to be on here.
I know. I was thinking what you were saying about needing that to see results quite quickly.
Yeah.
And I think a bit like you, sort of with my interviews, it's sort of like you do an interview and the interview's there and you put it out, and I think it's like a similar thing. So I totally hear what you're saying. Yeah. Quick results.
I think if you're a really patient person, I think you can work on those kind of longer term projects and stuff. But I think if you are a bit like us, where actually we kind of want to see results quite quickly, and I think a lot of the time when you are like that, I think I certainly am, I'm my own worst critic. Like, I think because I put so much pressure on myself to do something perfectly, that's why I get frustrated when I don't do it right, and it's why I end up then giving up things. And I'm really actually pleased that I persevered with the crocheting, because it would have been really, really easy in that moment when I had, a full-blown tantrum over it, that I then stop. But it didn't, and now I've got kind of things to show for it. So it's like, oh yeah, that's why you've got to persevere with stuff.
Yes, perseverance. I need to tattoo that on our arms, don't we? Like, persevere. All right, so to finish, we're going to do a round of 10 questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what is your standout moment of today?
Standout moment of today would be seeing all the strawberries that we have grown and tasting them. They're amazing.
Nice. Okay. Favorite nature spot that you go to?
Oh, North Devon, easily. Beaches up there are amazing. White beaches, yeah, gorgeous sea, definitely.
Okay. What are you most grateful for at the moment?
Most grateful at the moment are for my family, friends, and my health.
Okay. Favorite hot drink?
Hot chocolate, marshmallows, and cream.
Of course. Best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice I've ever been given is that the world has light and dark moments in it. And so that means kind of like, I guess what I mean by that is that life can have some really tough moments and it can have some really beautiful moments. And they both happen at the same time. And trying to understand that, or trying to understand why the light happens or why the dark happens and stuff, I think you'll kind of knacker yourself out and you'll tire yourself out trying to do it. But I guess in my darkest moments, it's always remembering that the light is still there. The light never goes away, even when it feels really, really dark and all around you is happening really dark. The light never goes. The light is still there. They're in a constant dance between the two, and it's just ebb and flow between them, I think. And it's holding on to, like, even when you're in those dark moments, that light will shine back through again.
Thanks, you put that beautifully, Elaine. I think a lot of people benefit from hearing that. Sometimes you just need to hear that, now and again, don't you? Because it is so easy, to be so dark that you don't think the light's there anymore.
And I think it is exactly that. I think there's a really beautiful quote from a film that I love, or recently watched actually, and it says, "There's a sunrise and a sunset every day. You can choose to be there for it. You can choose to put yourself in the way of beauty." And it was just, really, that really resonated to me in kind of that light and dark moments.
Okay. A standout person from your life and why?
Standout person from my life and why? I'm going to go with a couple of teachers actually, back in my primary school, and it must have been in about year 2, I reckon. And I don't know about you, but I didn't love school. Like, there's lots of parts of school that I didn't really love, especially secondary school. That was all right, pain. But like primary school, there were 2 teachers, Mrs. Hurst and Mrs. Box, and they were so creative, and they were so nurturing and kind, and just really just beautiful people, when they're just beautiful inside and out, and they just everything around them just kind of brings so much warmth and kindness. And they really encouraged creativity. And I think in school, where there's so much focus on curriculum about maths, English, and science, they were really, really creative teachers. And I remember Mrs. Box like playing music and getting us to do drama and dance. And I really do think that did help shape kind of some of the things that I ended up finding that I liked as a teenager. And Mrs. Hurst, she was so artistic, and the whole of the classroom just had these beautiful drawings and beautiful art. Like, the chalkboard had this amazing art on it, and you just felt, it was just such a lovely environment to be in. And I think those teachers definitely stood out for me, I think, in my primary school years, definitely.
It's really lovely to hear. we like hearing about teachers that encourage creativity. A standout book and why?
Standout book and why is The Cows by Dawn Porter. It's a really good book. It follows 3 different women at 3 different times, like very different times in their lives. But as the story goes on, their lives become entwined, and you kind of see that they have a bit more in common than you think. It touches on some really, really good topics, and it looks at kind of what expectations and what kind of society expects of women, what we kind of see as being right or wrong for a woman to do, and how we measure kind of success and value and worth, and what are those typical measurements, and the way society kind of measures those things. And it was really thought-provoking, and I liked the book because the characters, often I think when you read characters in books, they're written so that you fall in love with the character instantly, and you're constantly rooting for them. And what I liked about these characters in the book is that they were complex in the way that each and every one of us is. And there were decisions or things that they did that sometimes you thought, I don't know if I like what you've done there. And it kind of challenges you, and it challenges the way you're thinking. And I just found it really thought-provoking. And I think it was definitely, as a woman in her 30s that perhaps doesn't have the measures of success or worth that society might think I should have. So, I'm not married, I don't have a long-term relationship, I don't have a house, and I don't have children. actually it just really resonated with me.
Okay, sounds like a good book. You
Yeah,
sold
I
it
would definitely
well.
recommend. I definitely
Yeah,
recommend.
they should give you shares in the book, I think.
Yeah.
A standout film and why?
Standout film and why. So this is the quote that I mentioned before. So the film is Wild, and it's got Reese Witherspoon in it, and I love Reese Witherspoon anyway. Now I should add, like, I I normally watch kind of quite easy watching films. I'm that kind of rom-com, Netflix, animation, easy to watch films. But this one was recommended to me, and it was really, really good. And it basically follows this woman who has she's lost her mum, and she has spiraled into grief, and she's just gone through a divorce, um, and she's just made lots and lots of decisions and choices in life that have kind of left her in a really vulnerable and difficult position. And it follows her on this, I think it's like 1,100-mile track. It's called like the Pacific Crest Trail or something like that, I think. And it follows her along that, and the whole film follows that journey. And it's really a film about kind of personal resilience and kind of coming back from things, and quite literally putting one step in front of the other. And it's that thing sometimes, isn't it? If you don't know what else to do, sometimes that's all you can do, is to literally just put one step in front of the other. And I think, having obviously gone through a significant loss not that long ago, it just again really resonated with me, and just found it really inspiring. And I liked the take home message that despite some of the things that she'd done in kind of this spiral that she'd found herself in, people could argue were wrong or whatever, but actually she probably wouldn't have done anything differently. And actually there's no such thing as a mistake. Everything teaches you something.
Yeah. Thank you. I have actually seen that, but I want to watch it again now. So
Have you?
yeah, so yeah, it's a lovely film, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
A song that you like to dance to?
Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yeah, great choice.
I just love that song.
Yeah.
um I mean, yeah, just if that song comes on, it's like volume up,
Yeah.
dance around. Yeah,
Just that
great song.
intro bit of music, isn't it? That
Yeah,
intro, you know exactly what it's going to
yeah,
be.
yeah, yeah. And the amount of times that I think I've been out, that song always takes me back to my first year at university, when I was going out clubbing back in the day.
Yeah.
And like, I remember just hearing that song and being like, I've got to go up and dance. And even now, if it's like
Yeah.
on in the house, I'm like up dancing, done.
Yeah. I sang it in a talent show when I was 14.
Did you?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
I didn't win though.
Oh, I was just about to say, did you?
It was too high for me. I wasn't a particularly good singer when I was younger. I had more confidence when I was a teenager singing, but I wasn't as good a singer as I am now. Okay. So giving you a scenario, what would you do? So you are suddenly feeling really anxious and like you're being overtaken by emotions. What's the first thing that you do personally?
Breathe, breathe. I think when we're really, really anxious, and I guess I speak from experience of struggling with anxiety, um, the thing we like, it's really counterintuitive, in the sense that what we need to do is slow our breathing, but when we become anxious, we breathe faster and we breathe more shallow. So I think the key thing I would do is just try and breathe, just try and take some deep breaths. And there's some really good grounding things that you can do when you are feeling really anxious, and you're suddenly feeling overwhelmed with emotions. It's just simply putting like your feet on the floor and focusing on the fact that your feet are on the floor, you're safe, you're okay, and just kind of sort of repeating that to yourself, and just trying to take some deep breaths. And there's some other things that I know that I found helpful. Like, if I am feeling anxious, it's thinking about, I remember one of my friends recommended this to me, like think about 3 things that you can see, think about 3 things that you can hear, think about 3 things you can smell, think about 3 things that you can feel. And it's just, they're really good grounding exercises to just bring you back into that moment again.
Okay, thank you for that.
Right.
And last thing, if you could set a challenge for anyone that's listening out there.
Okay, so I thought about this and I was like, well, as someone who did this last year, it's only right that I kind of set this challenge. So my challenge for the listeners is to think about something that they've never done, maybe they've always wanted to do, but they haven't, and to give it a go, to just try and have a go, and not kind of put any more pressure on yourself other than that. Just literally just have a go, because sometimes the best things can come out by complete accident. So yeah.
Thank you so much for coming to chat to me.
That's okay. Thank you for having me.
It's really nice. I've learnt lots.
I can't believe how quickly the time's gone.
I know. But yeah, I think, yeah, gosh, yeah, we've been going for about 40 minutes. So what are you off to do now? More veggie garden, or are you chilling out now?
I think I'm going to chill out. I think I'm going to go sit in the sunshine and maybe read or something.
Nice.
And just, yeah, chill out now.
Well earned. Well earned. It's been a busy day of interviews and strawberry picking.
It's been lovely to chat to you though.
Yeah, you too. Thank you so much, Elaine.